The auction of the wild one on a faraway planet where twin moons hung over the sky and the air smelled of metal and fire. The alien king ruled with fear. His name was Corthan, and he was known across galaxies as a cruel and greedy ruler. His palace was made of black stone sharp like blades, and his guards wore silver armor that glowed under the red sun. One day the king ordered a new auction in the capital square. People gathered from many planets. Traders, warriors, criminals, and spies all came to see what the king had for sale this time. And then she arrived. She was dragged into the center of the market by chains made of glowing blue energy. Her hands were tied, her feet were bruised, her eyes burned like fire. Her name was Zara, a wild alien woman, known to many as the Untamed. She had once lived free in the deep forests of the outer worlds, but now she stood in chains, her face filled with rage and pride. The auctioneer, a thin alien with silver eyes and a loud voice, stepped forward. "This," he shouted, "is no ordinary female. She is dangerous, powerful, and rare. She destroyed 3 guards with her mind alone." Gasps rose from the crowd. Some stepped, back in fear. Others leaned in, curious. Was it true? Could this woman really kill with her thoughts? Zara didn't speak. She only stared at the crowd with cold, glowing eyes. Her body was thin but strong. Her long black hair fell over her shoulders, wild and tangled. She looked like an animal ready to strike. "No one can control her," the auctioneer continued, "but maybe one of you will try." The bidding started. A few brave aliens raised their hands, but each time they quickly dropped their bids. Fear took over. Rumors spread fast. She bit off a guard's ear. "She speaks to animals. She can burn skin without touching it." She was the last of her kind. The crowd began to back away. Even the boldest warriors looked unsure. The alien king sat on a tall seat above the square, watching with amusement. He laughed loudly and said, "Is no one brave enough to take her, not even for sport?" Then, something unexpected happened. From the back of the market, a man stepped forward. He was tall, dressed in old, dusty armor. His face was partly covered by a hood, and he moved with calm steps. He wasn't from this world. He wasn't even from this star system. He was human. A whisper ran through the crowd like a storm. A human? What is he doing here? Is he crazy? The man didn't speak. He looked up at Zara. She looked back at him, her face still full of fire. But for the first time, her eyes didn't show anger. They showed curiosity. Who was this man? He raised his hand. "I'll take her," he said simply. The auctioneer blinked. "Do you have the credits?" The man tossed a small cube onto the table. It glowed bright blue, the mark of full payment. The crowd froze. Silence fell over the market. Even Zara looked surprised. The alien king stood from his throne and grinned. "A human?" he said loudly. "Let him try to tame her. Let's see how long he lasts." Guards stepped forward to hand her over. But Zara didn't move. She stared at the human. He didn't pull the chain. He didn't order her. He only looked into her eyes and said, "You're not a slave. You're coming with me because I won't. Let them keep you here." Zara narrowed her eyes. No one had spoken to her like that since the day she was captured. For a long second, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she walked toward him. The guards were stunned. The auctioneer's mouth hung open. The alien king raised an eyebrow. The crowd couldn't believe what they were seeing. She didn't fight back. She chose to go. Is this real? The man and Zara walked away from the market side by side. No chains, no violence, no words. But something had just changed. The alien king watched them leave and muttered to himself, "This human may be more dangerous than she is." And in that moment, the story truly began. The human and the beast. The market was still in shock when the human walked away with the wild alien woman by his side. No chains, no commands, no struggle. The people whispered behind them. Some called him brave, others called him stupid. A few said he wouldn't survive the night, but the human didn't look back. His name was Captain Ray Carter, a former space soldier who had long left the wars behind. Now he traveled alone, hopping from planet to planet, doing small trade deals, fixing ships, and staying out of trouble. That was his rule. Until today. Ray's ship, the Emberlight, sat quietly at the edge of the spaceport. It wasn't big, it wasn't fancy, but it was fast, hidden, and quiet. Perfect for a man who wanted no eyes on him. He opened the ship door, and without a word, stepped aside to let Zara enter first. She paused. Her glowing eyes looked inside. No guards, no traps. Just metal walls and blinking lights. She stepped in slowly, like a wild animal sniffing a new cage. But Ray didn't follow her like a jailer. He walked past her, tossed his armor onto a hook, and said in a calm voice, "You can sit, or stand, or break something if you want, just don't touch the engine, it bites." Zara didn't reply. She stood still, watching him with silent suspicion. He handed her a blanket and a bottle of water. "For drinking," he said. "Not poison, unless you hate the taste of earth water." Still no answer. She took the bottle, sniffed it, then drank. Slowly. Eyes on him the whole time. Ray sat at the control panel and began running pre-flight checks. The engines hummed, the lights dimmed. Outside, the market disappeared as the ship lifted quietly into the sky. Hours passed. Zara didn't speak. She didn't sleep. She didn't even blink much. She stayed near the corner of the ship, back against the wall, hands on her knees, always watching. Ray didn't push her. He worked in silence, fixed small things, read from an old Earth novel, and occasionally sipped something hot that smelled like cinnamon. Finally, after what felt like forever, Zara spoke. Her voice was quiet, rough from silence, but strong. "You're not afraid of me." Ray didn't look up from his book. "No," he said. "Why? You're not trying to kill me. Yet." Her head tilted slightly. "You should fear me. I've seen worse," he said. "I once fought a plasma worm that screamed my name before. It even saw me." A flicker of confusion crossed her face. Then something almost like a smile touched her lips, but only for a second. Then her eyes hardened again. "Why did you buy me?" Ray closed his book slowly and looked her in the eye. "I didn't buy you. I paid for your freedom." She narrowed her eyes. "Freedom is a trick. You want something." He stood up and walked to a small shelf. He picked up a small old photo. It showed a young girl, human with soft eyes, and a woman with long dark hair, smiling. "She was my daughter," Ray said quietly, "and my wife." Zara didn't move. "They were taken during a raid by slavers. Same kind of auction you were in. I couldn't save them. But when I saw you there..." He didn't finish the sentence. Zara's fingers slowly loosened around her knees. Her face stayed calm, but something behind her eyes changed. "Do you want me to stay here? With you?" Ray shook his head. "I want you to make that choice." Silence filled the room again. But this time it was not cold. It was thinking silence. Later that night, while Ray slept near the engine room, Zara moved quietly through the ship. She could have escaped. The doors were unlocked. She could have taken a pod and vanished into space, but she didn't. She wandered into the small kitchen area, looking at the strange Earth food. She picked up a box labeled cookies and smelled it. Sweet. Strange. She took one bite. Eyes widened slightly. She didn't know what it was, but she liked it. She sat down at the corner of the table and stared out the window at the stars. It had been so long since she had seen them without prison bars in front. Suddenly, the ship's alarm beeped. Ray jumped up, grabbing his small blaster and heading for the control deck. Zara followed, silent as a shadow. Ray checked the screen and cursed under his breath. "They found us." Zara frowned. "Who?" Ray pointed to the screen. 3 small ships. Fast. Light. Marked with the red triangle of the alien king's bounty fleet. "They're not here for me," he said. "They're here for you." Zara's hands curled into fists. Ray looked at her. I can try to outrun them, but if you've got any powers you feel like sharing, now would be a good time. She looked at him, truly looked, and something in her seemed to rise. Don't run, she said. Ray raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? Let them come, she whispered. I've been hunted long enough. It's time I hunt them. The silence in the ship was thick, like the pause before a thunderstorm. Captain Ray stared at Zara. Her words echoed in his mind. Let them come. There was no fear in her voice. No panic. Just cold fire. Zara stood tall now. The chains were gone. Her back straightened, her body no longer slouched like a prisoner. She was becoming something else. Something powerful. But Ray had questions. So many questions. What exactly can you do? He asked, fingers still on the ship controls. Zara looked at the radar screen, where the red triangles of the enemy ships moved closer. I don't fully know, she admitted. My kind was born with energy and inside. But the king feared it. He locked us away when we were children, called us unstable. I never had a chance to understand my full strength. Ray nodded slowly. So you're telling me you're a walking time bomb? Zara didn't smile, but there was a strange gleam in her eye. Only if someone lights the fuse. He couldn't help it. He laughed, just once. Outside, space had turned deadly quiet. The enemy ships were now in range. Ray flipped a switch and the ember light cloaked itself, going invisible to scanners. But they both knew it wouldn't last. They're using heat seekers, Ray muttered. Even with cloaking, they'll find us if we don't move. Zara stepped beside him. Then stop hiding. Ray turned to her. You sure about that? She placed her hand gently on the metal wall of the ship. Her fingers glowed faintly like the hum of a sleeping star. Open the hatch, she said softly. Ray stared. That would expose us to open space. You'd be out there alone. I won't need long. Ray hesitated. Then slowly he pressed the emergency hatch override. A loud hiss filled the cabin. The roof of the ship began to slide open, revealing the endless black sky. Zara stepped forward into the wind of stars. She took a deep breath, and then she leapt. What happened next was not normal. Her body didn't float. She flew. She pushed herself into space, not falling, not drifting, flying toward the enemy ships with her arms glowing bright blue and her hair waving like black flame. Inside the ship, Ray watched in stunned silence as Zara became a beam of light, weaving through space like a living missile. The first bounty ship fired. A red blast shot toward her. She raised her hand, and the blast froze mid-air, wrapped in crackling energy. Then she threw it back. The blast hit the ship that fired it, exploding it into silent fire. One down. The second ship tried to escape, but she was too fast. She landed on the top of it, punched through the cockpit, and dragged the pilot out into the void. Ray winced. Remind me never to get on her bad side. When she returned, her skin was glowing like fire, and her breathing was heavy. She didn't speak. She just walked past him and collapsed into the co-pilot seat. Ray stared at her. You just took down 2 battle cruisers, by yourself. Zara looked at him, eyes tired. I told you, I'm done running. Ray sat down beside her, still stunned. You're more than dangerous. You're a weapon. Zara flinched, just slightly. Then she whispered, That's all they ever called me. Ray leaned forward. That's not what I meant. You saved us. That wasn't just power, that was control. Zara looked at him. They trained me like an animal. Beat me when I lost control. Shocked me when I disobeyed. I don't know what it means to use this for something good. You just did, Ray said gently. And I've seen real weapons. They don't care who they hit, but you hesitated. Zara blinked slowly. Her body was still buzzing with energy. But inside, something softened. You don't look at me like they did, she said quietly. Ray smiled a little. I'm not them. That night, the ship floated in silence, cloaked once again, hidden in the shadows of a dead asteroid. Zara sat in the corner, her back to the wall, but her eyes weren't burning now. They were distant, sad. Ray brought her a small metal cup of warm soup. Not poisoned. He joked. She took it, drank, said nothing. Then she spoke, almost like a whisper. I had a sister. Ray looked at her. What happened to her? She fought the guards when they came. She had stronger powers than me. She tried to save me. They killed her in front of me. That's the day I stopped speaking for years. Ray didn't say anything. What could he say? So he did the only thing that felt right. He sat down beside her. Not too close. Not to pressure her. Just there. Zara didn't move. But for the first time, she didn't pull away. In the shadows of space, far away, a message was being sent from the surviving enemy ship, a shaky alien voice. Target is alive. Human pilot assisting her. Orders? A reply came back from the capital, sharp and cold. Track them. Do not engage. The king wants her alive. And the human, he wants to watch him die. The ember light drifted quietly near a forgotten moon, hiding in the shadows like a ghost ship. Inside, everything was still. Zara sat on the floor of the control room, her back against the wall, legs crossed. She had her eyes closed. Her breathing was slow. She was trying to feel her power, not force it, not fear it. Just feel it. Ray watched her from the pilot's seat. He didn't speak. He didn't want to break her focus. But he could feel something in the air. Like a quiet hum, like static before lightning strikes. Zara's fingers twitched slightly. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from control. Too much control. She opened her eyes. It's like holding back a storm, she said quietly. If I lose focus, it takes over. Ray leaned back in his chair. Maybe the storm doesn't need to be feared. Maybe it just needs to be aimed. Zara looked at him, her face unreadable. You speak like a warrior, she said. But you don't act like one. I got tired of war, Ray said. Too many people die. Too many don't deserve it. Zara tilted her head. And what if I told you the Empire's death count begins with me? Ray didn't answer right. Away. But before he could say anything, the alarm rang. Enemy signal. The red light flashed. A warning tone echoed through the ship. Zara was already on her feet. Ray checked the radar. One ship. Small. Fast. Not a warship, but it's scanning us. Zara narrowed her eyes. Scouting vessel. Ray's voice dropped. They found us. Ray pulled the ship out of hiding. The ember light roared to life, engines burning bright. The scout ship followed. Zara stood beside Ray, her hand slightly glowing, ready to fight again. But something felt different this time. The enemy wasn't attacking. Not yet. Ray zoomed in on the radar. That's strange. They're not firing. They're transmitting something. Encrypted message. He clicked a few buttons. A voice crackled through the static. Captain Ray Carter, this is Commander Thalos of the Neutral Zone Alliance. We are not your enemy. Ray blinked. Alliance? Zara frowned. I don't trust it. I don't either, Ray said. But we need fuel, and we can't keep running forever. Against his better judgment, Ray opened a communication channel. The alien on the screen looked calm, well-dressed in dark navy armor with golden stripes. His face was scarred, but his eyes were sharp. I know who's with you, Thalos said, and I know what the Empire plans to do. Zara stepped into view. And what's that? Thalos leaned forward. They don't want you back. They want to use you to end the war. You're more powerful than they told you. You weren't just born with energy. You were created, engineered. Zara's eyes narrowed. You're lying. I wish I was, Thalos replied. The king used your people as weapons. You were never meant to survive, but you did. Zara took a step back. Her breathing got heavy. Her hands trembled. Ray moved toward her. Zara, she turned to him. He's saying, I'm not real, that I'm a tool, a lab rat. No, Ray said firmly. He's saying you were meant to destroy things, but you chose not to. That choice makes you more real than anything they ever built. Zara's lips parted. Her eyes were full of something she hadn't shown before. Fear. They docked with the Alliance ship for fuel. The process was smooth, quiet, but tense. Ray and Zara stayed on their ship. Thalos approached alone carrying a small data crystal. This contains everything the Empire has on you, he said. Files, recordings, test results, even footage from the day you escaped. Zara took it slowly. Her hands trembled slightly, not from power, but from memory. When Thalos left, Ray sealed the ship. Zara stood in silence. Ray asked gently, Do you want to see what's on it? She shook her head. Not yet. Then let's destroy it. Her eyes widened. What? You don't need the past to tell you who you are. She looked at him, and for the first time, truly looked at him, not as a captor, not as a stranger, but as something else. Someone safe. Later that night, while Zara tried to sleep, Ray sat outside the engine bay checking fuel levels. Suddenly, he heard a click, a weapon. He turned fast, only to see someone standing at the ship door. A woman, human, dark red armor, cold smile. Blaster, aimed at his chest. Hello, Ray, she said. Long time. Ray's blood froze. Commander Reese, he muttered. You're supposed to be dead, she smirked. So are you. Zara stepped out, energy glowing in her hands. Reese looked at her. There she is, the king's favorite pet, Zara growled. Say that again. Oh, I will, Reese said, aiming her gun higher. The Empire wants you alive. But me? I like sending messages. She fired. Ray dove forward. The blast hit him in the shoulder. Zara screamed. Her scream echoed like thunder. The lights in the ship flickered. The floor shook. Her power exploded around her like a storm. Reese tried to aim again, but her gun melted in her hand. Zara moved so fast, she was a blur. She didn't kill Reese, but she could have. Instead, she stood over the fallen woman and said, in a voice made of steel and lightning, If you ever touch him again, I will show you what it means to burn from the inside. Reese passed out from fear. Zara turned to Ray. He was bleeding, barely conscious. She dropped to her knees, grabbed his hand and whispered, Stay with me. Ray smiled weakly. You really are a storm. The inside of the ember light was filled with the sound of heavy breathing and sparks crackling from damaged wires. Smoke curled through the hallway. Lights flickered. And blood, bright red human, blood, dripped from Ray's shoulder to the floor. Zara held him close, her hands shaking, her breath fast and uneven. He was pale. Too pale. Don't close your eyes, she whispered. You don't get to leave me like this. Ray chuckled weakly. Wasn't planning on it. She pressed her hands to the wound. She didn't know first aid. Not really. Her kind weren't taught how to heal, only how to survive. But her energy flared at her fingertips, glowing bright blue. She didn't know if it would help, but she had to try. 10 minutes later, the ship broke free of orbit. Zara sat at the controls. Ray lay on a stretcher behind her, eyes closed but breathing steady. She glanced at him every few seconds. Her hands flew across the buttons and screens, uncertain but determined. The fuel was low. Shields were cracked. But one path was still open Earth. Ray had spoken about it often. A planet of water, forests, storms, and warmth. A place where he once had a life, a family, a home. Zara didn't know what home felt like, but she knew it wasn't the Empire. So she set the course. The ember light shot into hyperspace, leaving the galaxy's edge behind. For the next 3 days, Zara barely slept. She sat by Ray's side, gave him water, fed him from packs labeled Earth Food Emergency Ration. He grimaced in his sleep when she gave him the meat sticks. Sometimes he mumbled things, names she didn't recognize. Sarah. No. Don't take her. Zara listened. She didn't speak, but each word stayed in her heart. She had seen people die before, cold, quick deaths. But this slow fight for life, it was worse. She didn't want to admit it, but every time she looked at Ray, she felt afraid, not for herself, for him, and she didn't like that. On the 4th day, his eyes opened. Zara was sitting in the co-pilot seat, wrapped in a blanket, half asleep. She heard his voice, weak but clear. You steal my ship? She turned sharply, eyes wide. Ray gave a faint smile. You've been flying? Zara nodded. I didn't crash it, did I? Ray winced and chuckled. Barely. She rushed to him, kneeling beside his stretcher. You're alive, she whispered. I'm hard to kill, he said. Also, that soup was disgusting. She let out a breath, half a laugh, half a sob. I didn't know what else to give you. I forgive you. Maybe. She looked down at him. You shouldn't have jumped in front of me. I'd do it again, Ray said softly. You're worth it. Zara froze. She'd been called many things. Weapon, creature, wild thing, monster, but never worth it. She stood up too quickly, trying to hide her face. You need more rest. Ray watched her walk away, his smile fading into something gentler, something real. They arrived near Earth orbit 2 days later. It was beautiful, just as Ray had described. Blue oceans, white clouds, glowing cities, wild mountains. Life. Zara couldn't stop staring at it. You were born here? She asked. Ray, sitting up now with a fresh bandage, nodded. Yeah, right over there. Old continent called Europe. Zara looked again. It doesn't look like a war planet. Ray smirked. You've never seen a Black Friday sale? She didn't understand the joke, but she smiled anyway. They landed in an old military hangar in the forest, one of Ray's hidden emergency spots. No patrols, no scanners, just silence and trees. Zara stepped out first. The earth air hit her, skin, soft, warm, full of smells she didn't know but liked immediately. Ray followed a little slower, holding his side. She turned to him. Do you trust this place? He nodded. If the Empire followed us here, we'd know by now. They entered the hangar bunker. Inside were supplies, medicine, power cells, old Earth food, and most importantly, a communication terminal. Ray fired it up. Zara leaned over him. What are you doing? Sending a message, he said. To someone who might help us. Zara's eyes narrowed. Another trap? No, an old friend and a scientist. Zara folded her arms. I don't trust scientists. Ray looked at her. This one saved my life once, and if what Commander Thalos said is true, that you were created, then maybe she can help us figure out the truth. Zara hesitated. Truth. What if she didn't want to know it? That night, Ray fell asleep in the bunker, surrounded by medical, packs, and old tech. Zara stood outside under the stars. She looked up, thinking of all the ships out there, all the people who still wanted to capture her, or control her, or erase her. And here she was, hiding on a planet she didn't belong to, and yet, she'd never felt more alive. She heard the door open behind her. Ray stepped out, limping slightly. Can't sleep? He asked. Zara shook her head. He came and stood beside her, arms crossed. They were quiet for a while. Then she asked, Why did you save me? Ray looked at her. Because no one else would. But why me? Ray turned his head. Because when I looked at you in that auction, I didn't see a monster. I saw someone who had been hurt too many times. I saw myself. Zara didn't respond for a long time. Then she whispered, "I've never had someone stay." Ray didn't say anything. He just placed a hand gently on her shoulder. She didn't pull away. Far above Earth, hidden in the blackness of space, a ship watched them. Inside, a cold voice echoed across a screen. "They're together now, the wild one and the human." Another voice responded, "Let them get comfortable. And then? Then, we burn their world." The forest surrounding the old Earth bunker was calm, almost too calm. Zara stood still under the trees, eyes closed, bare feet touching real ground for the first time in years. She felt everything. The wind in her hair, the warmth of sunlight on her skin, the quiet heartbeat of a planet not at war. And yet her own heart was loud. Inside the bunker, Ray's message had gone out. A woman named Dr. Elena Voss, an ex-government scientist, had agreed to come. Ray trusted her. Zara didn't. Ray had said, she helped save lives during the last war. But Zara had heard stories. Scientists who wore smiles while holding scalpels. Doctors who called experiments progress. Zara wasn't sure if she wanted answers. Or revenge. 2 days later, the ship arrived. It was small, silent, and shaped like a needle. It landed in a field near the bunker. From it stepped a woman in her 50s, silver hair tied back, long coat fluttering in the breeze. She carried no weapons. Just a thin black briefcase and a calm, unreadable face. Zara stood near the entrance, arms crossed, eyes glowing faintly. The woman looked at her and smiled. "You're taller than the files said." Zara didn't move. "And you're older than I expected." Ray stepped between them. "Dr. Voss, this is Zara. Zara, this is the person who's going to tell us what the Empire was so afraid of." Dr. Voss opened her case. "Let's begin." Inside the bunker, the truth unfolded. Zara sat in a metal chair, wires gently attached to her temples. Screens lit up. Ray stood behind her, tense, arms folded. Voss scanned the data and slowly, piece by piece, started to speak. "You're not just a weapon, Zara. You're a design." Zara's face darkened. "Say that again," Voss explained calmly. "You were born, but modified. Your DNA has human origins mixed with high-frequency energy genes found only in ancient alien ruins. The Empire used that to create power cells, but they also tried putting it in people." "Why?" Ray asked. "To create a living energy source, one that could walk, talk, and obey." Zara shook her head. "I never obeyed." Voss looked at her. "That's why they wanted you destroyed." She pulled up a screen. A video played. A younger Zara, chained, screaming, glowing with blue fire, stood in a cell. Guards outside the glass. A voice on the recording said, "If she survives this phase, she becomes Queen of Fire." Zara stared at the screen. Her hands trembled. Ray walked to her, placed a hand on her shoulder. She didn't shrug him off. Dr. Voss continued, "You're not just dangerous, Zara. You are the last of a failed experiment. But the energy inside you, it's not just power. It's key to something ancient, something buried." Zara turned. "Buried where?" Voss hesitated. "Under this planet." Ray blinked. "Earth?" Voss nodded. "The first temple of energy. The Empire has been searching for it. They think you can open it." That night, everything was too quiet. Zara sat alone outside, staring up at the stars. She whispered to herself, "Queen of Fire. Was that all I ever was?" Ray stepped out, sitting beside her. "You don't have to be what they made you," he said. "But what if it's in me?" Zara asked. "What if I'm just waiting to explode?" Ray smiled gently. "Then I'll stand beside you when you do." She looked at him. This time, really looked. There was no fear in his eyes. And for the first time in her life, Zara felt something that wasn't fire. She felt warmth. Just before dawn, Dr. Voss walked into the comms room. She wasn't alone. A man in black armor stood beside her, silent and tall. Ray spotted them first. "Voss, What is this? She raised her hands. They found me. I had no choice. Zara appeared behind Ray. Her eyes burned blue. You led them here? Voss looked ashamed. They said if I brought you in alive, they'd let Earth live. Zara's power surged. You sold out a planet to save a lie? Ray moved between them. Zara, don't. But it was too late. The man in black stepped forward and pulled off his helmet. It was Prince Varric, the alien king's son. I've come to collect. The Empire's lost flame, he said. Zara's face froze. You. Varric smiled. You were supposed to rule beside me, Zara. Until you ran. I'd rather burn alone, she said, than sit beside a coward. Ray pulled his blaster. Varric raised his hand and blasted it out of Ray's grip. Using psychic force, Zara's hands caught fire with energy. You don't want to do this. I do, Varric said, because your power doesn't belong to you. Suddenly the ground shook, a deep rumble beneath their feet. The bunker walls cracked. Voss screamed, You triggered the temple. Zara floated an inch off the ground now, glowing with energy. Her eyes like twin suns. Ray, she whispered, get out of here. I'm not leaving you. You don't understand, I'm not strong enough to hold this back. Ray grabbed her face gently. Then don't hold it back. Let it know who you are. The temple beneath Earth, ancient, silent for millennia, opened. Beam of blue light shot through the sky, and from it, a voice echoed in a language older than stars. Zara understood every word. Daughter of Flame, choose what you are. Prince Varric stepped into the light. Zara followed. Energy crackled between them. Ray watched, heart pounding. Voss scrambled for cover, mumbling, This wasn't supposed to happen. Zara looked at Varric one last time. No crown, no chains, no throne. And then, she exploded. A pulse of blue light swallowed the chamber. The Empire ship above shattered like glass. Voss vanished in the blast. Ray was thrown backward, unconscious, and when the light faded, Zara stood alone, breathing, alive. Not as a weapon, not as a queen, but as herself. The sky above Earth was no longer quiet. The Empire's war fleet had arrived, 12 black ships shaped like knives, blotting out the stars. Their engines hummed like death. Their weapons were aimed downward, and they had one target, Zara. She stood at the edge of the mountain cliff, wind swirling around her, the glow of the ancient temple still pulsing behind her. The energy inside, her once wild and broken, was now calm, focused, hers. Ray stood beside her, holding his injured side, his blaster slung across his back. You sure about this? He asked, voice low. Zara nodded. They're not just coming for me, they're coming for Earth. Ray looked up at the sky. I guess it's your world now, too. She didn't smile, but her hand reached for his. She squeezed it gently. I won't let them destroy it. Down below, the city's prepared for impact. Governments panicked. Satellites fell. Civilians ran for cover. But up in the mountains, on the sacred ground of the ancient energy, Zara stood still, waiting. The lead Empire ship descended. And then, he came. King Corthan, the monster behind it all. Tall, armored in living metal, with eyes like burned coal, and a voice like thunder. He stepped from his ship and said only 3 words, Kneel, flame girl. Zara didn't move. He growled, You are property, created by me, powered by the Empire. Without us, you are nothing. Zara stepped forward. Her voice was steady, cold, and clear. No, without you I am free. The king raised his hand, and the earth split. Fire erupted. Soldiers poured out. Creatures in black armor charged forward. Ray stepped up, blaster ready. Zara raised her hands, blue light swirling. The battle began. What followed was chaos. Ray fought, like hell, shooting, ducking, rolling, blasting. His wounds ached, but he kept going. Because this wasn't just about saving a planet anymore. This was about her. And Zara. She moved like a goddess of war. She lifted soldiers with the wind, burned armor with her gaze, stopped missiles mid-flight and threw them back. But she never lost control. Because this time, she owned the storm. The king watched her, rage growing. "You were made to obey." Zara turned to him, floating slightly, energy glowing under her skin. "Then you should have made something weaker." He roared and charged. They clashed. Energy against energy, power against pain. He grabbed her arm. She screamed. He tried to choke her power down, but she looked him in the eye and whispered, "You don't control me anymore." And with that, she let go. All of it. Every ounce of fire, light, pain, love, rage, memory, released in one massive wave. The mountain shook. The sky split. The king disintegrated into ash, and when it was over, Zara collapsed. Ray ran to her, dropped his weapon, pulled her into his arms. Her breathing was weak, her eyes barely open. "You did it," he whispered. "You saved everyone." She smiled faintly. "Told you. I was hard to control." He laughed, even through the tears. "You idiot, you're more than that." She coughed. "I know." Ray brushed the dirt off her face. "You're not a weapon, not a queen, not even a soldier anymore." She blinked slowly. "Then what am I?" He looked at her, voice soft. "You're mine." Her eyes welled up. "You still want me?" she whispered. "Even with all this fire inside me?" He leaned closer. "I didn't fall in love with the fire," he said. "I fell in love with the girl who never let it burn her soul." Zara's breath hitched. "Then," she said the words he didn't expect. "Then let's go home together." Epilogue. 1 year later, Earth had rebuilt. The temple was silent now, its light buried, its energy sleeping. But in a small house near the sea, Ray worked in the garden. He still limped a bit, still cursed when he bent over. But he smiled more. Now, inside the house, Zara sat by the window writing in a journal. She wore simple clothes, no armor, no crown, no fire glowing under her skin. She had peace now, but her power, still there, still hers, and only used when needed. At night, they'd sit on the roof together, watching the stars, knowing somewhere out there, evil would rise again. And when it did, they'd face it together. Because once upon a time, an alien woman was sold like property, but a human saw her not as a weapon, but as a wife, a warrior, and a wonder. And she became not just a queen, she became free. The end.